Hello everyone, welcome to the show tonight. It is KEOSTER Live. It is here on CKTV on YouTube, folks. I haven't done a show now in a couple of weeks due to reasons of I can't really talk about online, but I just due to other things happening in my life. But I decided to come on tonight, talk about a few things that have transpired in the world of pro wrestling over the last couple of weeks, and also to talk a bit about the whole, just a few different topics that I want to discuss tonight on KEOSTER Live here on CKTV YouTube. Good to be back on the air, folks, and I'm going to be covering two topics in particular. The first, or three topics in the wrestling world. The first being one of the big topics, SummerSlam, coming up in 2 weeks' time. We're going to talk a bit about the current card, the way it's looking for SummerSlam. Also, I'm going to talk about the Hulk Hogan controversy that went down just a couple of weeks ago. Of course, it transpired over the course of a weekend, and it's all to do with him suing Gawker Media and what all the stuff that came to be in the days after the thing was revealed and stuff. But still, stuff happening, and there's been an outspew of stuff from that particular state of events. Also, the passing, the very sudden passing of Roddy PIPER, wrestling legend. Of course, Roddy PIPER, Roderick Toombs, his real name, but his stage name, wrestling name, and everybody knew him as the Hot Rod, Roddy PIPER. And he was a legend of the professional wrestling world. I nearly said our sport there. Well, as a big fan, and I kind of look at it as my personal sport. I love the one I've loved for years, even though it's not a real sport, if you like. John Cena's broken nose in several places last week on Monday Night Raw really shows you that they do put their lives at risk. They do put their bodies on the line. And us wrestling fans are sick and tired of saying that over the years. It's preempted. It's scripted entertainment. But, they are on the road wrestling over 300 days a year. And they are really putting their asses at risk for the love of the game. It's a labor of love for them. A lot of them, I know they're on, many of them on millions of dollars a year or whatever. But it really is, it's what they love doing, and it's what they have a passion for. And as you can see with the show Tough Enough, and you can see with the show, of course, NXT, with the younger stars and that, they really do have a great passion from a young age, and they go on and they can be the likes of The Rock, Hulk Hogan, the likes of the next Randy Orton, or the next Macho Man Randy Savage, whatever you want to be. But wrestlers certainly are no slouches, and I reckon they are no pushovers. They definitely are something, something beyond just bums that are doing a fake sport. I think that's nonsense, people saying that. And all the so-called wrestling, people that don't like wrestling, people disregard it and stuff. Big F you to you people, because at the end of the day, it's something that people love. People get a lot of love for this industry, and for me personally, a lot of it is nostalgia. I get a lot of great nostalgia because I watched it when I was started watching it when I was 3. I watched it, over the years up until I was 10 or 11. Then got back into it when I was about 13 or 14, and I watched it ever since. And I go maybe a few months I don't watch it, and then for most of the year I am into wrestling. But I just think it's a great way to escape reality sometimes. It's also a great way to really have a great nostalgia. I was big into the Hulk Hogan era, and I've talked about this on many occasions, but as, of course, my YouTube channel is very much a wrestling commentary channel, I like to bring up things like this. I just get really upset with different people spewing nonsense about, people shouldn't be into that because it's fake or whatever. Don't watch movies because they're fake. Don't watch, but I have an argument as well, to get back at them people. Why watch the UFC when it's people all more or less killing each other? That is a so extreme violent sport. And I says to someone, when someone was on to me about the wrestling, but why do you like wrestling? How could you ever get such a buzz out of wrestling when it's not really all this stuff they were saying? And a lot of them just do it to really irritate wrestling fans. And they do it to annoy them. But I says to him, how could you ever be into UFC when it's so extreme and violent and horrible stuff? And their answer was, oh, people need to realize how horrible and violent the world is. People shouldn't put themselves in a position where everything's all about entertainment and everything. That is utter bullshit. If you want to be entertained and you're sitting in your house at night time, you want to be entertained, whatever time of day it is, doesn't matter. Why would you even think about wanting to see, okay, see violence and stuff. But my thing about seeing violence and stuff, I would prefer to see violence in a movie when I know it's scripted, I know it's all preempted violence, it's all entertainment, and I'm getting my movie's fix. But why would sometimes I don't even watch the news because the sadness and I don't need that kind of stuff going on. Okay, I can evoke emotion in me, and it can do it so much as to I am not willing to put myself in that position every single time. Okay, if it's someone close to me, if it's a family member, or if it's a cousin, or if it's something of that nature, or if it's a close friend, I will let myself get upset, and I will let myself be evoked, that nerve to be touched or whatever. But see, as far as watching this UFC and watching all this, really bad war when it's real kind of thing, I just find when it's real and people are being killed and I find that very hard to watch. When I know it's fake and when I know it's preempted and I know nobody gets hurt in the end of it, I find that a lot easier to watch, and I enjoy that because I know it's not. But it's the whole satirical nature of it. Somebody said to me online recently, what's the difference? How can you enjoy it and then not enjoy it whenever it's real and stuff? Jesus Christ, how could you not? Like, it's black and white, the difference, because but then maybe you don't realize and you don't know whenever you're not kind of clued into the whole thing, the whole media thing and the media world and the filmmaking world and stuff. Maybe you just aren't clued. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that wee topic up because it really does, it grinds my gears, as they say, when people start ranting on Facebook or on Twitter or on social media in general, or even on YouTube something, about how fake wrestling is and about how why are you into this at your age and all? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I could tell you folks, as well as that, folks, when you talk about at your age, this whole thing at your age, I'm an Irishman, right? I live in Donegal. I'm from somewhere that's fairly rural. Got a city over the road, Derry City. We spend a lot of time there, of course, but there's a lot of wrestling fans in the city. But there might be only a handful of real dedicated wrestling fans in my town, okay? So there's not a lot of common interest there when it comes to that topic, as there isn't really when it comes to media either. Somebody that's totally clued into media and clued into filmmaking and stuff, like I am, that's my number one. But what I'm saying is, what was I saying? Oh no, but I really, really think, in this place I live, in Ireland or in general, a lot of big names in wrestling now from Ireland not getting much appreciation. I think it's terrible. They need to be getting more recognition. Just because it's a preempted sport does not mean you shouldn't totally disregard the likes of Sheamus, who's one of the top stars in professional wrestling the last 5-6 years. When you like to think of the likes of now just made his way into the WWE, Prince Devitt, now known as Finn Balor, doing so brilliant. NXT star Finn Balor, NXT champion. When you think of Becky Lynch, who's just started this Divas Revolution along with Paige and Charlotte, Ric Flair's daughter. That is seeped in nostalgia with Ric Flair's daughter being there. Of course, Natalya Neidhart being involved in the whole wrestling business. so many different, so many next generation stars as well. But I just wanted to maybe touch a bit on that people shouldn't just disregard it because it's preemptive. But anyway, we're going to move on a bit now, folks. SummerSlam is coming up in 2 weeks' time. We're going to talk a bit about the matches that have already been made for that very event. Also on KEOSTER Live tonight, a few topics. One topic being Roddy Piper. He has passed away, and it's so sad. And last week it was just a shock. It sent shockwaves across. I had been watching him being interviewed on 2 different media outlets from America on YouTube last week, a couple of days earlier, and I watched him on the Rob Eisen, is it, or Ross Eisen, or something like that show, the Rob Eisen show, or the Eisen show, and he was very good on that. He didn't look too good. He didn't sound too good. His voice was kind of, but I thought maybe he had just been out on a night drinking or something. But he definitely wasn't 100% in that particular show. I thought he commented on the whole Hulk Hogan thing, which we will talk about in a minute. But he wasn't. He didn't seem in tip-top condition. Also, I seen him then a day later on YouTube, and I seen him talking to TMZ, and of course TMZ are known as kind of like the America's equivalent to the Sun or the Star as in media, and of course the National Enquirer is thought of as America's kind of equivalent to the Mirror or the Sun or the Star. So it's kind of you kind of take news coming from them for granted, because they're the ones that leaked the whole Hogan controversy as well. But anyway, we're going to shift to that in a minute. But Roddy Piper sadly passed away then after hearing a couple of interviews with him and stuff. I thought, this guy is, he's still doing the great media interviews and stuff, because he was a famous actor as well as a wrestling star. So he's known throughout media, not only for the wrestling and stuff. It was a sad loss. It's no denying that. There is no denying that. This man was a legend when it comes to comedy. He was a legend when it comes to so many different things, folks. I really enjoyed Roddy Piper. But anyway, even his commentary in wrestling, he came in as a commentator in a lot of the big pay-per-views and on wrestling, on Superstars of Wrestling, and on Saturday Night's Main Event back in the early 90s. And he was very, very entertaining as a commentator. A lot of the critics they say that he wasn't much good, but he was filling in for somebody who just left for WCW, and that was Jesse the Body Ventura. So Ventura was a hard act to follow. But Piper, without a doubt, one of my favorites ever. Probably the greatest guy on the stick, or on the mic, you could say. Piper probably really blew it away on the mic. Up there with The Rock, up there with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hogan was great on the mic as well. A bit repetitive, but Piper was, you can never, ever predict what Piper was going to do. He was best known probably for his rivalries with Hulk Hogan. He was in the main event of WrestleMania 1. They had the brawl for all, or the brawl to end it all, and the war to settle the score. Of course, the MTV pay-per-views in 1984, and he had the match at WrestleMania 1 and 2 with Hogan and Mr. T, and then of course he went on to WWF and kind of took a mid-card role then as he went into the 90s, having feuds with Rick Rude, and of course having a great feud with the Mountie, and leading to his match with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8, which was probably the greatest match of his career, televised match of his career. He had a brilliant match with Roddy Piper, Roddy Piper had a brilliant match with Ric Flair at that show, which was this Tuesday in Texas. But it wasn't actually released on the digital media version that's on the WWE Network, or it wasn't released on the other version, which is of course the the taped version from back in the 90s. But there was another show, a Madison Square Garden show from October, the end of October in 1991, and he actually had a great match with Ric Flair on that occasion as well, and that was put on a it was put on a old school episode, which is on the WWE Network. So yes, indeed, Roddy Piper, excellent indeed, and I really like Piper. I think a lot of the stuff was excellent. He went on then to have wrestle matches with Jerry the King Lawler and a couple of other matches as time went on. Then he went to that great WrestleMania 12 Hollywood Backlot Brawl with Goldust. He went on to, I think it was the end of 1996, Halloween Havoc, WCW Halloween Havoc 96. After spending a few months as the president of WWF, the WWF let him go, and he got out of his contract and started with Ted Turner in WCW, because Ted Turner, of course, had Monday Nitro, going up against Raw, all the rest, and he brought over yet another legend of the WWF, Roddy Piper, to compete against Vince McMahon's WWF. So Hogan and Savage and Bobby Heenan and Gene Okerlund and all the big names had went to Ted Turner's WCW at that stage. But then Eric Bischoff, who was in charge of WCW, brought over yet another soldier to go against the likes of Hart, Michaels, and all the rest in WWE or WWF at the time, and they brought over Roddy Piper. Great guy to bring over. They had Hogan, Piper, and the second big rivalry of their career, 10 years on from the other rivalry 10 years earlier, or more than 10 years earlier. They had Hogan and Piper fight it out at Starrcade 1996, and they had them have another match at Super Brawl 1997, one or two other matches as well. And then Piper became more of a mid-carder then at WCW as the next few months went on. He feuded with Flair in 97, he'd done a few other things, and then he eventually became a kind of commissioner role in WCW in 99, 2000, around that time. And as his career went on then, he left. When WCW folded up in 2001, Piper then came over to WWF again 2 years later in 2003, where he feuded with Hogan again. And when he came back to WWF, feuded with Hogan again, he of course he came in as a bad guy. And Hogan had beaten Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 19. When Piper returned, tried to help McMahon, but Hogan won anyway. But Piper, of course, made a big impact there. And he brought in Sean Stasiak, who was supposed to be the next big thing, kind of thing, to help Piper and all. But that wasn't to be. He was actually not really that big a deal. But himself and Stasiak went up against the likes of Rikishi, and they got Snuka back in for that, of course, that famous thing in the early 80s with Jimmy Snuka, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and Piper, where Piper hit him in the head with a coconut. Of course, Piper was big in as far as his great show Piper's Pit as well, which was like a talk show. Like you have Miz TV these days, you have the highlight reel with Chris Jericho. Like throughout history in the WWF, the WWE now, we have these like talk shows in the ring or talk shows backstage that wrestlers host to help their character, I suppose. But yeah, Roddy Piper had a great one, probably the best of them all, which was called Piper's Pit. And definitely Roddy Piper made an impact with Piper's Pit, having such great guests on as Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake Roberts and $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, among others. He interviewed them all in Piper's Pit, and even did to a few weeks ago. He had the likes of John Cena on. He had the Shield on last year. He had so many big names on Piper's Pit over the years, and he done it right up till this day, because he was getting older and stuff, but he still, the character still had that kind of rowdy voice and stuff, the way he went on, and he was pure entertainment, pure comedy gold. So yes, Roddy Piper, what a career in wrestling. He made such a great impact in everything he done. Such a great. He was good in the movies as well. Didn't do a lot of top box office movies, but he did do a movie that was synonymous with sci-fi movies in the history of sci-fi and the history of horror, even, which was called They Live, and it was called John Carpenter's They Live. John Carpenter, famous for such films as John Carpenter's Vampires and Los Muertos and these different movies. He done They Live in 1988, and that became a cult classic, with Piper being the leading role in that particular film. And definitely John Carpenter's They Live was Piper's top. But already a big star in the movie or in the wrestling world, it was a risking on Carpenter's part to take him into this. But as wrestlers didn't have a great track record in movies. But well done to him for getting Piper as the main star of that. But definitely, Roddy Piper will always be remembered in this. For me, anyway, he will always be remembered. He was always a legend of our sport. Anyway, Godspeed, Roddy Piper. Okay, folks, we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to turn my attention to probably the greatest attraction in the history of professional wrestling. And he is, he always will be in my mind, the true wrestling legend. And I'm talking about Hulk Hogan. He, just a few weeks ago, was deleted from a lot of the WWF archive, the WWE archives. His name is no longer, and his image are no longer in the WWE website or the annals. And going forward, his content featuring his name or him have been deleted from the WWE network. The shows that are already on the network and most of the shows that have been uploaded already to the network will remain with Hulk Hogan in them, but stuff in the future and film, and legends stuff and different things like that won't feature Hulk Hogan for the foreseeable future, apparently. And I think it is an absolute disgrace. I am a lifelong Hulk Hogan fan. Some would say over the top fan. Well, not really over the top fan. Don't get all the paraphernalia and stuff, but I am a big fan. I have all his DVDs, all the DVDs featuring the Hulkster, all the videotapes from back in the day. I've got the wrestling figures, the little figures of the Hulkster. I have all the different things, and I meant to come on here and talk about it before now, but I am so pissed off. I am really pissed off at this whole situation. I think the man was in the privacy of his own home, and he was, unbeknownst to himself, he was being filmed. And he had said a few things about black people or African Americans. And, many people make remarks. He could have been drunk. At that period of time, I know he was having a severe breakdown. A lot of things going on in his life. He had problems right up tight. So many problems at that time in his life. He had just done the reality TV series, of course, Hogan Knows Best, and the family was breaking up and stuff, and it just wasn't happening good for him. And he eventually found God at the end of it all. But during the bad times, when he was on the rocks, this happened. This whole, of course, it was a sex tape that was being made unknown to him, and now he decided he would be suing this Gawker Media, who was trying to get the sex tape and get the rights to it and stuff. And Hulk Hogan was trying to stop this in its tracks from happening and all. And Gawker Media, he was actually suing with Gawker Media for 100 million, I believe. He still is. And now apparently it's all blown out of proportion. I believe that Hulk Hogan shouldn't have been, maybe a suspension for saying them words. I don't even think that's right, because it was in private, and just because it's known, and just because let's face it, just because it's Hulk Hogan, WWE probably would have turned a blind eye if it had been the likes of one of these guys like Titus O'Neil, or if it had been the likes of maybe if it was the likes of John Cena. Well, John Cena might have been, but you know, John Cena was having an affair a couple of years ago, and there was a serious thing going on, and he wasn't picked on for it. The likes of Randy Orton has had, well, maybe he hasn't, but you know, so many things have been done over the last few years, and they could have taken people up for it. You know, people could have been, more might have been done. But now Hulk Hogan, all of a sudden, in the privacy of his own home, has dropped a couple of N-words and stuff, and all of a sudden he's been cast into hell by WWE, and he's not to be breathed the word of again and stuff. I think it is an absolute travesty, an absolute disgrace, and I just cannot believe. No, I won't stop watching WWE. I'm still a network subscriber and all, because I get benefit out of that. I get to watch what I love out of that, but I'm not happy with WWE as a company that they would do this. Hulk Hogan, greatest legend in wrestling history, and you know, I know he has been known to politic his way out of things, and he's been known to that whole thing with Bret Hart in 1993, and he made sure that he was kind of the guy came in and beat Yokozuna after Yokozuna beat Bret Hart. He's supposed to have been the guy that maneuvered that storyline and stuff, and he did go over to Japan, and he was wrestling in Japan, and he said in an interview that the WWF belt this is just a toy for us to play with, kind of thing. This is where the real stuff is in Japan and stuff. He was supposed to. I seen him say all that and comments on that back then. But what I'm saying is, overall, Hogan, as a man now, is in a better place, much because he has found God. And look, anybody that has went on record, and anybody that has said, like Shawn Michaels, for example, changed like that when he found God, and he has been such a different person since that date when that happened to him in 2002 or 2003 or whenever that was. When the likes of Sting, for example, another happened to him as well. Mel Gibson happened to him as well, I think. Different people such as Jake the Snake Roberts at one or two occasions in his life. I think now, since he became clean and sober again, I think he's pretty much doing well, and a lot of people thank God for that. And I believe that this is a good segue now to go into talking a bit about that. Today's world is a disgrace. There's no doubt about it. Society today is an absolute utter disgrace. I've been talking about Hulk Hogan's situation. It's terrible. I don't condone what he said, but at the same time, he was in the privacy of his own home. I think WWE shouldn't have done it. Maybe a fine, maybe if they had him with a 6-month suspension from being involved in this product or whatever, that would be okay. But they went too far. I'm just going to say that. But I want to move on now, talk about philosophy and about a couple of things now, before we start talking about WWE SummerSlam. I am a Roman Catholic, okay? I have good faith, great faith in God. I believe in God, believe in a higher power. I don't necessarily believe in God the way that you may believe in God. I believe in God in a way that it is an entity. I believe God is I believe God is love. And that's what many people say. And I totally believe that. I believe that Jesus Christ was a very real person, obviously, but I believe that he did know, and he had the gift of the empowerment. He knew about things, and you know, until people die, they will not realize just how strong this whole situation is. If you think for 1 minute that this, my friends, is the end once this place is finished, you're badly mistaken. I totally believe that. And I've come through a lot in my life. Lost my brother 12 years ago. A lot of stuff happened to us. But I'm not going personal. What I'm saying is, people in Ireland today, right, for example, it is amazing and it is an absolute terrible thing. Irish people, and I'm not talking general, I am talking generally in a way, because young people, a lot of the young people in this country have totally alienated the church. And I am not someone who regularly goes to mass myself, but I go sometimes, very odd times. But that's a self-conscious thing. I don't really like having to sit in public with people and all that kind of stuff, because it's just a self-conscious thing because of my weight problem and stuff. That's something that is being dealt with in due course. But anyway, I do believe in, really putting out there what you believe in. I believe in pushing this thing now, because it's got too far, as to say. There is, and I respect people for their beliefs, but I don't like people rubbing it in people's faces. There's atheists. This is the example of atheism and stuff. It's been totally blown out of all proportion. A lot of people love that. I think a lot of people like this example. They love to go against the grain. What I'm seeing is a lot of people these days are going against the grain, alienating the believers. A lot of the non-believers now love to go on the internet and put up comments and really push home the facts, that they're so-called facts. But I totally think that this whole thing I think atheism, there's no winner in atheism. I think if you're an atheist, okay, go out and do whatever you like in life, whatever you want. It just isn't, I couldn't live like that. I have to have something that I have I nearly went crazy a few years ago because I was worried about stuff like that. I don't worry about it anymore. I'm cool with it, because I believe it's all about love. I believe if you have enough love in your heart, that will overshadow any hate when you die, and you will be a happier person in the next life because you've got all that love. I believe in it, that hate is a very real thing as well. And if you have a lot of hate in your heart, and a lot of hate for people, I believe that can play a big part when you pass away as well, and stuff like that. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts on that on this video, because I think people in this country, when you look at people in Italy, people in Spain, people in Portugal, the Catholics over there, the Roman Catholics, Christians, they are great. They are so enthusiastic. They're so great. The people in the third world as well, so great. They believe and they have such passion for their religions. People here don't give a damn, and all they want to do is, all they want to do is party, have fun, have sex, have drinks, have drugs, whatever they want. A lot of these, I'm not generalizing, I'm just saying there's so much to the extent where I think it's just terrible. And I think that the people and the Catholics and they need to think about things. I do know a lot of people look at it like, a lot of people were put off the Catholic Church maybe when the stuff came out about the priests, with child abuse with the priests, the sex scandal and stuff. That's not fair enough. A lot of people didn't like that, and a lot of people were put off the church. But remember, folks, I believe so much that kind of thing was the thing that was like, the priests are merely plugs into the wall. You're on the end of the plug. The wall has the circuit. It has the volt of the electricity, if you will, that is God, that is love. And I believe that, as someone that likes to connect with God in my own private, at the moment, I don't go to church much, so I like to do it in my own time. I believe that that's what life's all about. You gotta connect with God in your own time, but don't totally throw away God. Don't say, "Oh, this isn't right." this is just because some people, some priests decided to do that, doesn't mean you have got to alienate God, because that wasn't God, that was priests. You know what I mean? This is not something I usually cover. I don't feel very comfortable talking about that kind of stuff, but I need to get it out there, because if I'm going to help the state, I believe everybody, one man can help stuff like this. You know, it's not rocket science. You've got to help it. And if you feel strongly about it, I believe in talking about it. And you know what? That's all I'm going to say about that, folks. You've got to have faith, as George Michael's song says. But right now, I want to switch gears. Thanks for listening to that little bit of thoughts there. Keep the faith, folks. There's nothing like believing what you believe in. I'm a big traditionalist. I'm not sorry for it. I just think, you know, everybody's hell-bent on being modern these days, and all that's get modern. That's not, you know, a lot of Irish people look at it and say, oh, it was drilled into us over the years, and now we're free, we can do what we want with New Age and stuff. There's tradition is hard to beat, folks, in some circumstances. You know, in other ways, you know, surely I wouldn't be like, I call myself an a la carte Christian, because I enjoy some of them things, but you still have faith and enjoy things that you know, aren't Bible, gospel or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, you only live once. You might as well make the most of it, but you might as well do it in a way that you've got love in your heart and you're going to go to a better place. That's all I'm saying. Okay, folks, I'm going to talk a bit now about SummerSlam 2015. It's going to be a great SummerSlam, folks. It's going to, the main event, it is double main event, you could say, and it's got Seth Rollins versus John Cena it's going to be Seth Rollins versus John Cena in double championship match, title versus title, title for title. It will be the Seth Rollins WWE World Heavyweight Championship versus John Cena's US Heavyweight Championship, and it's going to be live from New York City, and it's going to be the greatest match, probably one of the greatest matches that we're going to see on pay-per-view this year. Title for title. Last time there was a title for title match was, that I can remember, it's probably been a few over the years, but the big one I remember is WrestleMania 6 back in 1998 was Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. Memory there, folks. Nostalgia. But the other big one is that big year and a half in the making match between Brock Lesnar and the Undertaker. Of course, Undertaker came back on at that big event a few weeks ago, which was the big event a few weeks ago. Trying to think of the name of it here. I watched it live. No, but he came back at that big event, and he came back with an intent to destroy Brock Lesnar. And it ended up that Undertaker will meet Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2015, which will be on 2 weeks' time, live on the WWE Network, and it's going to be a lot of fun, folks. I am a subscriber, of course, to the WWE Network. Been watching a lot of great shows this last few weeks. Some great stuff on there now. I am totally jacked for the, totally loving the fact that they've uploaded the 1997 and 1999, all the episodes of Monday Night Raw. So now I can tell you every single episode of Monday Night Raw between the first one in 1983 until the start of the year 2000 are now totally uploaded to the WWE Network. They've got so many then between 2000 and now. They've still got ones to upload, but they upload stuff all the time on the network. The great thing about the WWE Network, unlike YouTube, they never take any episodes of anything down, so that is actually a great thing. Although they did take down Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, which was a bit annoying there last week, whenever the whole thing came out about Hogan, but unfortunately, there you go. But yes, I can tell you as well that some great stuff hitting the network these days. There was just another couple of episodes of WWF Primetime Wrestling added there last week, and also there's been some other stuff on the network lately. A couple of first look videos. That new Nitro Volume 3 Best of video was put up, and now there is word coming out that they will be adding WCW Monday Nitro episodes from 1997 and 1998 to go along with the 95 and 96 episodes. So that will be very exciting. So they're supposed to be adding them this week. So that is going to be fun. You know, I've been watching episodes of these shows and pay-per-views and that, and doing chronological orders of them over the last year and a half since getting the network. It was actually a year in July there. It was exactly a year since I actually subscribed, but it's been available since February 2014. But there is, I think there's 3,500 hours of content on the WWE network at this stage. Isn't that an unbelievable thing there? That is unbelievable. 3,500 hours of content on the WWE network. Sure, you couldn't beat that if you're a wrestling fan, folks. And you know, when you think about it, by the time the network is actually, you know, by the time it's 5 years old, there will probably be near 5,000 hours of content on it, or 6,000. And you know what? You know what even is mad, more intriguing? There is about 100,000 hours of content in the WWE's library from over the years. Isn't that unbelievable, folks? Because you have every show they've ever done. You have every show from AWA, WCCW, WCW, and the NWA, and all the different territories, ECW. And by the way, there's going to be another ECW drop on the network very soon as well. So yes, a lot of great stuff on the WWE network. A lot of great stuff coming up now at SummerSlam. And I hope you enjoyed my show, folks. I just wanted to share some thoughts on things. You know, that thing I was talking about with, you know, keeping the faith and all that stuff. Society is just getting worse. Well, in my opinion, people don't care anymore. It's all about selfishness, I believe, in today's world. People are just so selfish. You know, I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying about everybody is. You know, I've been known to be selfish too. But what I'm saying is, a lot of people just don't care. They just are out for number one. They're out for themselves. And I see a lot of sneaky people, a lot of people who love to be two-faced and stuff. See, being two-faced is the number one thing that really pissed me off big time. And that's something that needs to be stomped out with people. When you see yourself getting that way, or you see a friend, you need to say to them. Because if you don't say to them, folks, it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And they're going to step on you. And, you know, I'm the kind of guy I tell, like, it is when it comes to that kind of thing. And I really tell them, that ain't working with me, folks. And I've seen it recently with someone. I've seen it with a couple of people over the last couple of years. You know what, folks? I don't take it. And that's what I stand by that. I'm not bullshitting. I'm just saying, telling it like it is. I will not, because I got a lot of people. And I will go, I don't need anyone. I've got my family, and you know, in general, we do have our families and we have ourselves, and we don't need anyone else. If people aren't good friends, they're not going to be 100% to you. You don't be 100% to them. Anyway, folks, it's been the KEOSTER, bringing you my opinions on a few things, and also bringing you the news on the world of professional wrestling with Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper, the death of Roddy Piper, unfortunately. Of course, the sad story about Hulk Hogan too, about his eviction from WWE and about the whole media thing, the whole affair with Gawker Media and stuff like that. And then, of course, the allegations. But also, we talked about SummerSlam, and we talked about a few other things as well. Been great bringing it to you, folks. Stay with it, folks. The KEOSTER here. Been great talking to you. And as ever, I'll be back soon. Me and John Shortall is going to bring you some movie stuff on Sunday night for the Movie Zone. I'll be talking, maybe have another couple of ideas in the next couple of weeks. Folks, stay cool. KEOSTER over. And out.